Say Shara, Africa, say it louder. Say Shara. Salam alaikum, assalamu alaikum, salam alaikum, assalamu alaikum, salam alaikum, assalamu alaikum, salam alaikum. Assalamu alaikum.
We stand, we beg, we fall. All we need is freedom. All we need is freedom.
Free from slavery, free from slavery, free as a command to slavery, free as a command to slavery, free as a command to slavery, free from slavery, free from slavery. Yeah.
We're here to speak the word. We're here to stop the war. We're here to speak the word. We're here to stop the war. We're here to speak the word. We're here to stop the war.
Salam alaikum, assalamu alaikum, salam alaikum, assalamu alaikum, salam alaikum, assalamu alaikum, salam alaikum, assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum, African one. You wanna be free? The most sweetest one in the world. Get yourself the back with the reggae music coming to you from the one of the most peaceful man. So many lying down on the streets. What about them? We are dancing at the hills. Get yourself the most free time. I preach about freedom. Preach about freedom.
We're here to speak the word. We're here to stop the war. We're here to speak the word. We're here to stop the war. We're here to speak the word. We're here to stop the war.
Better look on the street as a lesson, youth. Stop down lines as a lesson. You have to listen and be a man. The music we are doing is not a music for fun. We are preaching, hear it loud and clear. Hey, night and day, no sleeping it out. Let us preach, let the people hear. Let us preach, let us life feel. The sound of freedom and love. 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 In the production. Yeah. Salam alaikum. Morocco. Salam alaikum. Libya. Salam alaikum. Niger. Salam alaikum. Nigeria. Salam alaikum. Niger. Salam alaikum. South Sudan. Salam alaikum. Sudan. Salam alaikum. South Africa. Salam alaikum. Africa one salam alaikum. Africa one salam alaikum. Let's sit down and be free. Salam alaikum. United we stand. Salam alaikum. Before. Salam alaikum. Salam alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, good afternoon, good night, whatever you tune in. Today, it is Saturday, February 26th, in 2022. Concerned citizen of South Sudan going live to have a very important discussion tonight as we discuss this very important topic. You can see on the screen, South Sudan Fiscal Year 2021, 2022, and year 2022 and year 2023. National budget. Pros and cons, الموازنة القومية للسنة 2021 2022 وسنة 2022 و2023 بالسودان الجنوبي. الايجابيات والسلبيات ده هيكون محور الحديث tonight. My guests who will join me here momentarily will explain more and more. I understand many of South Sudanese are very skeptical when we talk about economic, when we talk about the budget. But you know what I got to tell you? Politics, economics, they go along. Why politics and economic, they go along? Because there is no way we can be talking about politics without talking about the services delivering and basic necessity for the citizen of the country. And that's why it's so crucial to know the budget that has been passed and the proposed budget, what in it, and how the government, the autocratic government that we have in Juba, how do they allocate actually the budget? What are the priorities? So Moses McCare, Moses Edward will join us here momentarily. He's an economist to explain more and more, to explain the basic concept of the government budget and what is government budget actually, and why is it so important for the citizen to understand the budget. It is your money. It is what it is. And we wanted to know, sometimes we question and we wonder the direction that the country is heading, which is seem to be the direction that the money is heading. So we'll be waiting here for my guest, Moses Edward, to join us here and go ahead and explain to you. And please, I don't want you to go away. Go ahead and like and share so many can come. You know what? There is a say that if you don't give yourself a time to listen, you will not understand what's in it. And it would be more difficult for you to understand. But when you give yourself to listen, the topic of the matter become more easier and easier and easier. And that's why it's so crucial for you and I and others to be sitting here and understand the concept of the budget, what's in it, and why always in our beloved country, the Republic of South Sudan, why always the salaries are delayed, why the soldiers, why the nurses, the doctors, the civil servant, why their money are coming always late. ليه بيكون في تأخير في المرتبات دائما؟ حينما البادجت بيتم إجازته و salaries, which is chapter 1, are always included in the national budget. ليه دائما بيحصل الكلام ده؟ That's why we have an expert, an economist here tonight to explain this, what happening exactly and what they do with the money. And it's good, you know, for you to be here and listen and ask questions as well. Welcome to Concerned Citizen of South Sudan. أرحب بكم مجددا حينما كنتم. This is our forum, the only forum that will give you the truth, and truth matters because we do care, and we care about you. We care about our Republic of South Sudan. That's why we are here volunteering this time to give you the information and explain to you exactly how things work. I do see there Moses Edward, economist and a member of UCC. Welcome to Concerned Citizen of South Sudan. Ahlan bek, Ustaz Moses Edward Maker, he Concerned Citizen of South Sudan. I want to give you that opportunity to greet our audience before we proceed. We are discussing very, very important topic tonight, as I said a little bit earlier, and I believe so. Our audience can see that below the screen. South Sudan fiscal year 2021, 2022, 2022, 2023, national budget, pros and cons. What is it? You will explain to us because you are expert on this. الموازنة القومية للسنة 2021 2022 وسنة 2022 2023 بالسودان الجنوبي الايجابيات والسلبيات. استاذ موسى ادوات اهلا بك في Concerned Citizen of South Sudan. I want to give you a few minutes to greet our audience before we start. تفضل.
Ustad John Kormayol, I would like to thank you for giving me this opportunity to discuss with you this very important topic. And budget is a national issue topic. goes beyond tribes and it goes beyond tribal politics. And it is very important for all South Sudanese citizens to understand about their budget, their public money, where the money is going, and who gets the money.
Yes.
And why are we complaining that there are no services, and why are we opposing the government? The best way to understand the direction of the government is to know where the money is going, the public money. That public money belongs to all the citizens of South Sudan. The public money does not belong to the SPLM elites only. So this is a very important topic to discuss. Yes, there are so many experts, more than me, but I will try my best to discuss with you, Jonkor, because I have worked in the National Ministry of Finance for 3 years, and I know what I'm talking about, and I would be more than happy to talk at 3 levels. The first level for this topic would be the national level. What does the budget mean at national level, and then states and administrative areas, and then talk about the pros and cons of this budget of South Sudan that we are going to discuss. I greet all the concerned citizens. Thank you for coming and listening to concerned citizens of South Sudan. Thank you.
Sas Moses Edward, thank you for that an introduction, actually, to our audience here on the studio and those who are watching back home in other part of the world. Sas Moses, to proceed, I want you to explain to us, to people of South Sudan, the basic concept of the government budget. What is government budget and why it is so important for citizens to understand this? Go ahead.
Ustad Jonkor, thank you so much. This is very important, and I would like to use plain English. I avoid economics and financial terminologies that are sometimes confusing for citizens and for our people, because the level of understanding about economics issues and financial issues is not the same. There are people who are highly educated and understanding and knows what is going on with the budget. But we here in our humble forum, we would use plain English and a clear language so people can understand the concept of the budget.
Correct.
In simple and in short answer, all the government around the world have policies, and policies must be financed to be translated into maximizing the welfare of the citizens of the country. In this case, the SPLM government or the revitalized government is a government. Whether it is legitimate or not, that is a topic for another day. But as a government of revitalized government, they have policies, and those policies need public funds so that they can finance their government policies to provide goods and services to the citizens of the country. So in plain English, a government budget is a plan, is a spending plan of a government, whereby the government has national issues, national resources in their disposal at the Ministry of Finance, and they want to spend that money to deliver on their promises or their policies that they have promised the people of South Sudan, that they want to deliver goods and services, and they want to be a responsible government. All those promises must be translated in real terms, how much money are you giving all those projects? How much is the government utilizing the public money to improve and maximize the welfare of all citizens of South Sudan? So it is basically the spending plan of a government. Well, a government cannot spend or cannot have a spending plan unless there is a resource to be spent. And so budget is all about spending and expenditures, which is expenditures. And there are agencies that spend the revenues. For example, in South Sudan, we have 82 government agencies that spend the budget of the government. And the budget, when it is passed by the parliament and approved by the parliament, it becomes the law. And once it becomes the law, it has appropriation act. Appropriation act determine how that budget, how that approved budget should be spent by each spending agencies of the government. And that is very important to understand that the spending of the government is based at three levels: the national level, and the 10 states, and 3 administrative areas level. That's the most important part about the budget. The other things, budget is a very important fiscal policy document. It is all about how the National Minister of Finance use the fiscal policy tools to increase the economic activities within the country. And therefore, the government must have a clear budget, a comprehensive budget. Budget must be very comprehensive, must be timely, must be accurate. And if the budget has met that standard and has been approved by the Legislative Assembly, then it becomes the law, and it must be implemented according to the Appropriation Act. And it is also accompanied by Financial Act. Financial Act determine how the taxations and the revenues, non-oil revenues, are collected. It is another law. So there are main sources of South Sudan government revenues. The first one is the oil, and that's where 90% of the income of the government, what we call the resource envelope of the government, the total revenues of the government, most of 90% of that come from oil money, and then non-oil revenues, which is from customs and taxation within the country. Those two sources are the fundamental and main sources of the government. That's where the government get the money, and then have a budget, which is the spending plan. The other two sources, since 2013, have not been utilized, and especially the foreign aid, and it depends on the donors. So they have to stop their money. They are not giving direct money to the government of South Sudan to be added to the budget. Having said that, the donors are supporting other sectors, like sector of education and health. As we know that South Sudan has 10 sectors, and I will go to that detail later. Okay. So budget is a government spending plan for the nation. Thank you.
Thank you, Ustaz Moses Edward, for explaining it. You give really information on the budget. Now, I know we are going to ask more details tonight, including, the chapter 1 on the budget, the salaries. Since all the budget always have been proposed, have been passed, a national parliament, we have issues, and every South Sudanese knows this, that there is a delay or people don't get their salaries. We will get into it later, but I want you to explain the process of the government budget cycle, and also what percentage actually does the national government get? It's a very, very important, Ustaz Moses. Please go ahead.
Well, thank you, Ustaz John Kormayol. South Sudan budget, whether state budget or national budget, generally goes through four stages. That's the process. And the first stage of the budget cycle, the first stage of the budget of South Sudan is called the planning stage. And the planning stage is very important, and I will come back to it, what we mean by planning. And then the second stage is called the preparation stage of the budget, and the third stage is called the implementation stage of the budget, where you implement the budget. And the fourth stage is monitoring and evaluating the budget. And first of all, this cycle is called cycle because it is a process that is repeated within 12 months. From the 1st of July, that is the beginning of every budget in South Sudan, it starts on the 1st of July of the year and ends on the 3rd of June in the next year. So at the planning stage of the budget, this start with the executive branch of the government, Ustad Jonkor.
Okay.
The executive branch of the government play a very important role in the first stage or process of the budget, which is the planning. The presidency plus the cabinet. The president and the cabinet, they sit and they determine the resource envelope, and they set the priorities of government on what items or what sectors should the budget be spent on, and how much should go to certain sectors within the 10 sectors of South Sudan. So the priorities of the government are set by the presidency plus the cabinet. And then they are given to the Minister of Finance to come up with the indicative budget ceiling for all those sectors based on the directives from the executive branch of the government, which is the cabinets and the presidency. Once they have decided which sector should get what, and based on their priority, the National Minister of Finance cannot change those priorities. Then,
and I have actually, I'm sorry to disrupt you, and I have a follow-up question there. Since always there is a priority on the budget, and the president, the head of the state executive, is the one that prioritizes which sector get what and how, an amount. What priority has been in Kir government since 2006 up to 2022? What priority?
Well, that is a very good question, Ustad Jonkor. First of all, let
you
me
can come back later if you don't want to answer it right now.
Yeah, it's okay. Let me just run into the sectors.
Okay.
And in brief, the 10 sectors of South Sudan are accountability sector, economic sector, education sector, health sector, infrastructure sector, natural resource sector, that's number 6, public administration sector, rule of law sector, security sector, social and humanitarian affairs sector. There are 10 sectors. What we mean here is the government of South Sudan is big. They have 82 agencies of the government that is spend the budget every year. These 82 government agencies have been categorized into 10 sectors. So for example, for the government, they always spend a lot of money in public administration sector, and public administration sector has 19 spending agencies. Is the largest sector in South Sudan, and the security sector has 5 spending agencies. What I mean by government spending agencies here, I mean ministries or commissions, or for example, the political party council. So if there is a commission or a council of a state or a ministry, we call them government spending agencies. So when I'm talking about agencies, I'm talking about the total number of government agencies that spend the budget every year, and they are 82, and they have been categorized into 10 sectors that I have said. So Ustad Jonkur, most of the budget since 2013, the government priorities has shifted to security sector. So most of the percentage of the budget goes to security sector and the public administration sector. The public administration sector is a huge sector, and it consumes a lot of the budget. For example, within the sector of public administration, there are 19 agencies, and I will go through them quickly. These agencies take a lot of the budget, the percentage of the budget, which is the cabinet affairs, the legislative assembly. As we know now, they have 550 MPs. So it's a huge legislative assembly and cabinet. We have 35 ministries, and we have deputy ministers. So they consume a lot of, they take a lot of money from the budget. We have the office of president, and I have been the head of this sector, public administration sector, for almost 3 years. I have prepared the budget for the office of president with my team for 3 years, and always the budget of president exceed the budget ceiling for the last 10 years. They goes beyond what has been budgeted for them, and that is one of the reason why they always prioritize this sector, because it is connected with the public administration agencies. These agencies include federal affairs, foreign affairs, and political parties council, National Election Commission, Minister of Labor, and National Constitutional Review Commission, and Civil Service Commission. So sector of public administration and security are the main sectors that gets a big percentage in the national budget, plus the infrastructure sector that include the roads, and we know what has happened with the roads, Juba, Barakazar roads, and Bo roads. These are part of infrastructure sector. A lot of money goes to that sector, and there are other sectors that has been ignored, especially education sector and health sector. They don't get much percentage of the money because the government rely on the foreign aid agencies to support our education, general education and health sector. The budget that they give to the health sector is always less than 3% of the overall budget. And the same thing with education is always less than 5% of the overall budget. Most budget goes to security sector, as I said, and public administration sector, and infrastructure sector, but they don't utilize that money for infrastructure. They give those contracts to their relatives, to their friends, and those friends don't complete the projects. They just take the money, and the projects are not done. And every year, the same claims will be brought to the Minister of Finance for the same project every year. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Moses, for explaining it. But I have a lot of questions on that too. Since
Welcome, Musad Jonkur. We can discuss.
we want to explain. I want you to explain to our viewers. Since the budgets always passed and it's sealed that actually this is the budget of 2021, 2022, or this is the budget of 2013, 2014. That include all the salaries. That include everything. So, first of all, why the budget of the office of the president exceeded what has been budgeted? Why? And why there are some sectors are getting more than other? Like, for instance, security is getting more, more budget. Why is that? How do you explain that to our ordinary citizen? What happening exactly?
Yes, I was supposed to finish the point of the budget cycle, and I will come back to the public administration sector, which include the office of presidents, now the presidency, and the security sector. As I said, the priorities are set by the executive in the planning stage, the beginning of the budget preparation. And then they send it to the Minister of Finance to prepare the budget. The Minister of Finance will call a joint meeting between the Minister of Mining and Petroleum and Central Bank and all the other generating revenues agencies. When they come, they will discuss about the resource envelope and the budget ceiling and how much is there at the disposal of the government to plan to be spent by all the 82 government agencies. And then it is prepared and it goes to cabinet again, and then from cabinet it goes to parliament, and in the parliament they do the first reading, second reading, third reading, and then when it is approved, it is accompanied with the appropriation act and financial act plus the approved budget. Now it has become law, and when it is a law, it is implemented by the Minister of Finance plus the concerned agencies and sectors. Now, let me go back to your question. Why is the presidency getting the lion's share? It is one of the characteristics of all dictatorial regimes in Africa and in Asia. The sector of public administration, which include the parliament, the council of state, the cabinet affairs, and the presidency, this sector get the lion's share because most of these are the elites in the party, and they want to make sure that they are promoting their elite agenda to enrich themselves, and they are not interested in promoting the national agenda or providing basic services with that budget. So what happened, for example, in the office of president before Corona, if the president is traveling or the vice president, they travel with 60 people as a delegation. I remember when I was in the National Minister of Finance,
60 people, 60
delegates, yeah. And sometimes it's 20, sometimes 20 is the least but most of the time is 40 and 50 and 60 was the biggest number when Tabandeng joined the SPLM, and he was going for a visit to USA. What happened? He went with the 60 people. So that has exhausted the budget of the operation budget of the presidency, because all those 60 people need tickets, they need accommodation, and they need everything. When they come back, they claim what is called DSA.
And they need
Yeah.
allowances too, right? They need allowances. Every time you travel, they got to
Yes.
give you like $20,000. That's the pocket money.
They call it DSA. They come and claim it, or they can claim it before it. DSA means Distinguished Service Award. And as if they are going to do a distinguished service for South Sudan. But at the end, they travel, they don't do any distinguished service for the people of South Sudan. But the only distinguished service they do is for themselves and their account. So, and DSA mostly is claimed in terms of dollars. So it exhausted most of chapter 2 of the budget of all ministries. All 82 government agencies. So, but right now, because of Corona, there is a decline in traveling, which is good. They are not traveling in big number as they used to be. So at least we expect this fiscal year budget of 2021 and 2022 would not be spent in unnecessary traveling and DSA as it used to be since 2010 up to today. So unnecessary traveling with the huge numbers exhaust the budget, and they will always ask for money from the Minister of Finance. And the Minister of Finance, of course, is the man that comes from the president. All the ministers of finance are appointed by the president. So they are the people that I call them the spoon of the presidency. They nas golo Malaga albi akulubo.
Malik bitasarat Rais.
So the president always appoints somebody that he trusts to be the Minister of Finance. So whenever there is things that the president wants to do, there will always be money. But the other government agencies don't get the money. So it has to be from, right now, it has to be from 5 vice presidents. Anything coming from the office of a presidency, whether from 5 vice presidents without mentioning their name, is a top priority in the Minister of Finance, and it will be processed as urgent. And the money would be
urgent.
Yes, it's urgent. And anything that comes from security is always a stamp with the red stamp, top secret, and it's always urgent. So they get their money on time. But other agencies like Ministry of Education, Higher Education, or General Education, they don't get their money on time. Ministry of Health, and for example, the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Natural Disasters, they don't get their money on time. So the problem is with the executive government. They appoint a Minister of Finance that is always not following the Appropriation Act. Appropriation Act is the law that guides the spending of the budget within the financial year, within 12 months. And that Appropriation Act says that you cannot take money from Chapter 1 and use them in Chapter 2. It is illegal. You cannot take money from Chapter 2, which is operation cost of all ministries or of a ministry, and use them as salaries. And you cannot take capital money and use it in a wrong way. So there is always a violation of Appropriation Act, and I will come to that as one of the argument against the effectiveness of the budget of Republic of South Sudan for the last 10 years.
Thank you, Moses. Thank you. So you are, life saving. Now, this is so interesting. Those who are watching, and that's why I said from the beginning of the program, please tune in and watch it. There's a lot of information here. You will wonder why sometimes, you will wonder why. But if you are not here to listen and understand exactly how they are processing the finance in South Sudan, you will not understand. And that's why actually I invite you to share it and like it so others can come and join and listen with their own ears too and know exactly what's happening in J1, what's happening in Juba, what's happening with South Sudan, the Republic of South Sudan budget, how the budget actually has been allocated. Now, Ustaz Moses, it's really, really troubling. My heart, is so troubled by this. Now, if I may ask you this question, we are already aware that budget has been sealed. It was passed, including Chapter 1, even though the office of the president has been giving over budget. The budget that was proposed is exceeded the budget that has been proposed, actually. They have more. National security has more. Everyone has more, actually, right? Now, my question here, and that's the question every South Sudanese asking, why then the salaries of the officers in the police, the army, the civil servant, why their money are not coming on time, or why they are missing their money while the Chapter 1 is included in the budget. يعني الموازنة العامة فيها المرتبات الموظفين في الدولة، ولا الدكاترة ولا أفراد القوات الشعب المسلحة ولا ممرضين ولا بوليس، دكاترة، مهندسين، اللهم جرى. نزل المواهب، المرتبات داخل الموازنة. ليه قروش ما بيجي on time كده؟ help our people understand this. قاعد يحصل شنو لقروش؟ اللي بيحصل شنو؟ وده قروش اصلا عمل له propose، they've been passed، قروش موجودة. المفروض كل شهر قروش يمشي لزول، لعسكري قروش يمشي، لمواطن زول سيفل سيرفنت قروش بيمشي وين بالضبط كده؟ كده help our people understand this, and I want them to listen to this point. Go ahead, Ustaz Moses.
Well, Ustaz Jonkor, thank you for that question. First of all, let me say the figure, the money that we are talking for this fiscal year, the fiscal year 2021 to 2022 budget that we are discussing. The total revenues, the total resource envelope of the government of South Sudan to be spent within 12 months, 287 billion South Sudanese pound.
287 billion.
Billion. Yes, billions, not million, billions South Sudanese pound.
How much is that in dollars? We have to do some calculation.
It's a bit complicated because when you prepare the budget, you set the dollar
in the lower
for a price of the oil. You set a benchmark price.
Okay.
A benchmark price is, for example, $55. So for the next 12 months.
Because you never know, the oil price may go down, may go up, right?
So that $55 is a benchmark amount. It does not increase or decrease within the fiscal year period of 12 months. That quantity, and then time is the quantity of oil. Time is that $55. That is the price. So it will give you. So we set one. We set a benchmark price per oil. Yeah, per barrel, and it does not increase or decrease. And if the oil prices goes up, such as what is going on right now, it is good for the government. They will have extra money for the extra money. But if the price of oil declined, and then the benchmark price that you have set when you were preparing your budget, you will have less money, which is it goes to deficit.
Around 50, yeah, which is going to be around 50.
Yes, because it is set like that to avoid the fluctuations in prices of the oil, because oil is the main sources of the income of the government of South Sudan. So that's what you can get that by dividing 287 billion divided by $55.
Yeah, that's
and the next budget that they are preparing now, they set the benchmark prices at $68. So $68.
Then you're gonna end up talking by like $5 billion. That's a lot of money, Moses. That's a lot of money. $5 billion, 5.7. That's a lot of money. Almost $6 billion.
Let's just discuss this in terms of South Sudanese pound, because most salaries are paid in South Sudanese pound, with the exception of the security attaches in embassies and the foreign affairs that have, the ambassadors that have been deployed in embassies. They are paid in dollars, and the security attaches and DSA, those who are traveling for government mission, are paid in dollars. But generally, Chapter 1 salaries are paid in South Sudanese pound.
Correct.
So now the total government envelope, total government money that has been approved and that is being spent by the government is 287 billion. That amount,
which is equal to $5.7 billion. That's a lot of money still, Moses. Go ahead.
So I want to tell the people what is the percentage of the money out of that 287 that has been allocated to the salaries. And then we will talk why they don't get it. That was your question.
Yes, why they don't get their salaries on time, while actually they have been budgeted for 12 months. 12 months انه هيلقى مرتبات بتاعهم. القروش ده كله في الموازنه. العسكري هيلقى قروش بتاعه في 12 شهر. Why they don't get their money? Where do money go? Further.
Yeah, so these total revenues, total spending plan, they have allocated 84.1 billion South Sudanese pound for salaries. 84.1 billion has been allocated for salaries. That is Chapter 1.
That's a lot.
It's called wages and salaries. And that's where we have a lot of problems, and I will come back to that.
Okay.
And 82.9%, 82.9 billion has been allocated for operating costs. The cost for running the ministries or commissions or all those 82 government agencies. There is the cost for use of goods and services.
That means we have 2 billion for salaries.
9 billion. And Chapter 3, there is 46.5 billion. That is capital. Capital is used for development and reconstruction of roads.
Correct.
They have allocated 46.5 billion. And
that's ridiculous.
Number 4, they have allocated 15 billion South Sudanese pound for peace implementation. And we will come back to that. 15 billion South Sudanese pound for peace implementation. So peace has been given 5.2% of the overall budget. So the peace is not even a priority. Because if you give it 5% of the overall money, then it is not a priority.
Yes.
If it is a priority, you have to invest a lot of money in it. And number 5, contingencies. That is a budget for emergencies, such as flood. But that money is always there in every budget. But when the disasters come like flood, they don't release the money, because this money has been claimed, by the elites before even they utilize it for the main purpose why it was put there as money for emergencies or contingencies. That is at national and state level, but there is also so in general 81.8% of 287 billion is spent on national
Salary.
government. 81.8% of the overall government is spent in Juba,
In national government.
and only 18.2% of the budget goes to 10 states and 3 administrative areas.
While the population actually is not considered in Juba.
It's not in Juba.
The population is in a rural area, in the
Yes.
states, on the Payams, and the counties. Okay,
Yes.
go ahead.
So there's no fairness in this budget, and we'll come to that. But the reason why people, the civil servant, don't get their salaries is that the law is very clear in South Sudan. The issue with South Sudan is not that we don't have laws. We have laws like Appropriation Act. Appropriation Act says that the salary money should not be used for other purposes except only for salaries. But what happened? These money are used by security sector and by presidency, and most of the check are written. The salary check are written and given to agencies. But when they go to the central bank to get the money, the central bank will say, we don't have cash. We don't have money right now. You have to wait. So the delays of salaries is not in the National Ministry of Finance. The delays of salaries is in the Central Bank of South Sudan.
And why?
And that is the question that the central bank should explain to people, because when the check is written by a Minister of Finance, there must be a coverage. There must be money in the bank before you write the salary check for the ministry or for any spending agency. So they should be asked, if there is no coverage, then they should not give okay to the Minister of Finance to write checks to the agencies for salaries. Most of the time in South Sudan, Jonkor, the budget is there, approved, but you come with your claim as a concerned spending agency. You get the check. That's what we do. We do the commitment in the free balance system. We commit the claims of the ministry, and then it's processed through the free balance system, and it goes to the account, and then they write a check. We don't have money in the Ministry of Finance. We only write the check, and we do the procedures to leave the records. What is going out, what has been spent out of what has been budgeted. So then you go with the check to the bank. So the bank is playing with the people salaries in terms of I don't really know what they do with the money. They give auctions, they give money away to commercial banks, and the commercial bank don't return back the money quickly on time. So they go and do business with the salary money. And that should not be the case. When the check is written, you need to release the money to the agencies, to all ministries and all commission, so they give the salary. But if you use the money for businesses, you take them to the market, you invest them, and then for 5 months, 6 months, then you return the profit and then pay salaries after you have enriched yourself. These are illegal practices, and this is what we call corruption, one of the four evils. So the salary money is used by the elites because they have not separated between being leaders and being business people. The SPLM leaders, you find them, they are ministers, but they are doing business with the public money. There is no
do central bank actually explain to the financial minister or any minister? My understanding that, let's say, Minister of Transportation, they must have an account with the central bank because that's where they have their money. Okay, so when they go with their check, they want to cash it so they can give their salaries away. The central bank is not explaining to them why there is no money on their bank account, because actually they've been budgeted that they have money for 12 months. Now I'm going as a minister to go and cash out monthly salary for my employees. So the central bank explain to them where the money goes, or they don't?
Yeah, sometimes they really don't explain much, but sometimes, you know, what the central bank is doing is that they rely on auction. They sell dollars, they give the dollars so they can, they say the commercial bank can bring in pounds, and that pounds will be paid to the 82 government agencies, so the salaries could be paid. So the games and the deals that the central bank has with commercial bank is the parliament is not doing its jobs. They should summon the central banks. They should summon the Minister of Finance for question. And that is one of the weakness of South Sudan budget. And that goes to the implementation stage, is the worst stage in the budget of South Sudan. And the planning stage. So during implementation, the law is there, the budget is there as approved budget, as a law, the appropriation act is there, and the financial act is there. But there are irregularities. They don't implement those laws. They do what can serve their interest, and most of the time that affects and delays the salaries of the citizens that are working with the government.
This is so unbelievable. And that's why our people are suffering for a very long time. And I wonder where the sector of accountability then? Are they not raising any voices on that regard when minister go to the bank and wanted to cash out? And why the money that should be cashed out every month that way? Why not just having electronic government, having a system that actually people can have their checks, you know?
Yeah, you know, the issue is this. Our government official, they don't want to modernize the banking system, because if they modernize it and make it all electronic, the issue of ghost names in the security sector would be exposed. Because you will find in most ministries there are ghost names, people who don't exist, people who are not there, and they just get the cash money and they loot the money. But if you implement electronic system of payment, it will only pay those who are really working. So they don't want to modernize the system of payment of salaries, because that will not help them to enrich themselves. It will not make them to loot the money. So they are just reluctant intentionally. Intentionally, they don't want to modernize the payment system. And it is very easy. It is so simple to do it in South Sudan. A country that has oil money can transfer money to your bank account, and you go and withdraw your money. You don't even need to come to an accountant to get your salaries. You just need to go and check your bank account, and you withdraw your money.
I get my direct deposit. That's how it is. That's how it is.
But our elites in SPLM, they don't want changes They don't want reforms that can that, because the technology is one of the best way to solve the
Track
problem
them down, yeah.
corruption. And they don't want this because with their policies of self enrichment and policy of accommodation, where you put all your family members on the payroll, they don't want those things to be exposed, and they don't want the money to be given to productive workers. They themselves want to compensate themselves because they fought for the country. Then they must be rich. They have to be the technology that give the money, that give the salaries.
Actually, Moses, I'm sorry to disrupt you, but there was a question from a gentleman down here, in the audience watching, that actually, how many personnel on the payroll in the government of South Sudan did you come across the people that working in ministries, in agencies, the personnel that are in payroll? Since you are with the, finance, have you ever come across how many people actually on payroll in South Sudan, the payroll government? And just, curious.
Yes, yes. It is possible to know them, but I have not written the exact number of the staff. But it is simple to know them. I have the documents here with me. The easy way to know is through chapter 1. Chapter 1 of all these 82 government spending agents, they start with chapter 1 when they are doing the budget. For example, for Ministry of Foreign Affairs or Ministry of Finance, you start from the lowest grade, which is the messengers, murasalat, and the drivers. That is grade 17. That's the lowest, and grade 16. And you go up to grade 14, grade 12, grade 10. And for those who have finished universities, you start from grade 9, and then grade 8, grade 7, and you don't go through grade 6. You go to grade 5, then grade 4 and 3, and grade 2, and grade 1, and grade 1 is special. So when the ministry, out of these 82 ministries or commissions or councils, when they are preparing their chapter 1 budget, it is easy to identify how many people are in grade 1 in the ministry. For example, in the Ministry of Finance, how many people are in grade 1? We have 2 undersecretaries. So you just put number 2 there and the amount they get. And you go to how many people are in grade 2, and you put the number of the people in the ministry. You go to how many people are in grade 3, grade 4, which are the DGs of the director, and you know their numbers. And you go to senior inspectors, grade 7, and you go to an inspector, grade 9, and you can tell. I have the total amount for each ministry, but I have not add them up, all the 82 government spending. But for each ministry, we know how many staffing, how many employees are there in South Sudan. What we don't know is whether those numbers are real numbers or not. Whether those numbers of employees that are coming from ministries are real numbers, verified numbers or not. For example, with the security sector, you have from private to the first LT general. You know, من فريق الأول لجندي، في كم فريق الأول فريق الثاني لجندي and added and their number, and then you get the total. And I know how many staff are in the Ministry of Defense, but it is not right to expose all information. Some are for national security. Though we are against the government, there are certain things that we don't say for the sake of the security of the South Sudan. So I will not tell you exact number of the army, exact number of this stuff, but they are there. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ustaz Moses. We are proceeding. Now, why you talk about how the 10 states are getting 18.2%, while the national government actually is getting more than 81.8%.
Yeah,
So,
into 81.8
yeah, 81.8.
of
See,
the budget. That is 287 billion.
87 billion dollars, so billion South Sudanese pound.
That's
Now, it's very troubling, as I said from the beginning. Why does 10 state, where the majority of our people are residing, why does 10 state get less budget? 10 state plus 3 administrative areas. Why do they get less budget of the national government? Why do the national government get share of the lion while they are not even? It's not even 3% of the population. Why? Why do they get that, Moses? What is behind all this?
Oh yes, it is simply the politics of the ruling party. Our government is a centralized government. Though we talk about federalism, is not fully federalism. So most resources are focused in the center, in Juba. And you can see from how many V8s are in Juba compared to 10 states. That shows that a lot of money is consumed and is stolen and used within the national capital city, that is Juba. First of all, a 10 state budget is always less than 10 days of oil production of South Sudan. Let me repeat. The budget that the 10 state gets is less than 10 days oil production of South Sudan. So if you have 365 days, and right now South Sudan is producing 148,000 barrels per day. 148,000 barrels per day. And that quantity times
150
times 365 days in a year, then you get the quantity. And if you sell it with the benchmark price, that is $68. The benchmark price $68 in the National Ministry of Finance when they are doing the budget planning now for fiscal year 2022 to 2023. Then it can give you the total oil revenues. So what happened here, Jonkor? One state like Northern Bargazal is not given 1 day oil production equivalent to
roughly, I'm sorry, roughly, South Sudan made more than $5 billion revenue of oil every year.
So they just take 10 days of oil production and divide it to 10 states, and then the rest of the 355 days goes to their pocket and the oil for oil companies. So South Sudanese are not benefiting from their own oil. So it should be that the opposite way. States should get more money so the state government can provide public goods to the citizens, because 90% of South Sudanese are living in rural areas, which are those slums houses. You see, 90% of South Sudanese are living in the state and in slum houses. So there are no roads, there is no development. So they only rely on subsistence agriculture in states. So the 10 states have been totally ignored and been there is no fair distribution of wealth in South Sudan. All that is going on in South Sudan is the ministers at national level get the lion's share with the presidency. And because most of these political military elites, they are all focused in Juba, where the seat of the government is. And all the governors, most of them, with the exception of the governor of Western Barkazal, they are all generals. They listen to the orders of the president. They cannot question the president. Why are we given the less budget? How can we deliver services to our people? They don't raise that complaint to the Council of State. The Council of State should raise this issue and the parliament that the state need more money. The 10 states need more money, not the federal, not the central government. So this is why we say that the government has no vision. Because if you have the vision, you should prioritize states, give them enough resources, so you have less people in the capital city.
Correct.
Now people are all coming to Juba because that's where the salary is. That's where the money is. But if you disperse the money to states, there would be less people in Juba capital city. And everybody will be sure if you stay in your state, you will get your salary on time. You don't need to come to Juba.
Yeah.
And you don't need to come and follow your claim. You don't need to. So the states need to wake up, and they need to pressurize their MPs. But we know that these MPs are handpicked. They are appointed. They don't represent the people in the states. They are only appointed within Juba. So they don't talk as the voice of the people in the national parliament. They don't raise these issues. All these issues should be raised during the first reading, the second reading of the budget. But most of the time, the parliament, the MPs of the national parliament, they just pass the budget without a proper scrutiny of the national budget or state budget. They just pass it as it is. All that they ask is their incentive to be given to them by the National Minister of Finance so they can pass the budget. So it is so sad to see that the national members of parliament, they have to be paid money to pass the budget without scrutinizing the budget, whether the budget is fair or not. So we don't have effective branches of government. Like executive is not effective and is not doing the right thing. The legislative assembly is not doing the right thing. The state, the council of state is not doing the right things. So the public money has been wasted for the last 10 years. And when you talk, they say, oh, they are against the government. But they are against South Sudan. They are selling South Sudan. The people that are stealing public money from the budget are the ones that are destroying the future of South Sudan.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sas Moses. Again, that's why I said from the beginning, our people should listen to this. You know, politics without understanding the concept of economic and budget in the country is nothing. Because why people are always talking is because of services delivering. Because of service delivering, you work, you don't get your salary, you don't get the school for your child, you don't get medical treatment, you don't get infrastructure in the country. It means nothing. It means nothing. That's why our people need to focus and understand. I hope many people will share this so they can get more. Ustaz Moses, let's continue. Now, I want you to tell our people what are the pros and cons of South Sudan government budget.
Ustad Jonkor, thank you for that question. I have few points that I really need to go through quickly and give other people a chance to ask question or maybe come in and say a few points. First of all, the pros and cons. I would start first with the positive things because there are always positive things. We cannot just say everything's in the national budget and state budgets and administrative every budget is all negative. That would be wrong. First of all, one of the best thing about South Sudan budget is that it is well prepared in terms of the four stages or the process of the budget. The preparation stage is really well done.
Well, writing is not a problem, Moses. They
Yes.
can write as much as good, but the implementation. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, I'm coming because we have to talk about positive things first. Well, and then we conclude with the cons, the argument against the budget, the effectiveness of budget of South Sudan, whether the budget is irrelevant or is useful for or is improving the welfare of South Sudanese citizens. But I'm saying this is a positive because I have seen it, and South Sudan is using a Canadian software called Free Balance. Free Balance is a global, world-class, a global public finance management application or software. That is the intellectual property right of that software belong to Canada. And it is a good financial system that we use to prepare the budget. So in terms of preparation and documenting, writing down all the spending agencies allocated budgets and what is going out through claims or contracts is all recorded. Well, what is not fair is whether these claims are really legitimate, are really dodgy or true claims. Whether the process of giving contracts to those businesses are really scrutinized or following a clear law or a standard in the country. That is what is the problem. But you come with a claim and it's recorded, and we use the codings, everything is perfect, well-class preparation of the budget. There's no question about that. Second, our budget does not take many long time to be discussed. They don't discuss. It makes life so easy for the Minister of Finance. They just pass it so easily. So for the minister, he's not getting hard time. They don't summon, the ministers. Though it's
all this. They don't ask them in details why and why and why and why.
Things. The Legislative Assembly, does not summon the corrupt ministers that are abusing the budget or using misappropriation to loot the money from Chapter 2, which is operation budget. They don't summon them. So everything is passed, and there's no proper scrutiny. There's no tough consequences from judiciary or so. That is for the elites. For the elite of South Sudan, is a good thing for them. But for the citizen, it is a negative thing. We need a parliament that would scrutinize the budget properly at all stages, from planning stage where the executive and president control the priorities. They should have a say, and from the preparation where the agencies submit their budget submission, and where the budget ceiling is decided by the cabinet affairs, and the implementation, people should follow the appropriation the agencies should follow the Appropriation Act. Any Chapter 2 money should be spent on Chapter 2 items only. Chapter 1 should go for Chapter 1, that is salary only. And all these are not in place. Monitoring and evaluation is not happening. That's one of the negative things. The budget cycle, the most important cycle is the monitoring and evaluating the budget. There are accountability agencies that should check and make sure that the budget, the ultimate goal of the budget has been achieved, which is to maximize the welfare of the citizen. For that, whatever has been planned and prepared must be implemented as it is. There should be no leakages in the budget as it is happening over the last 10 years. There are many leakages in the budget which are not helping the Ministry of Finance to be effective and the whole government to be effective. So budget is only saving the elites, but is not saving the welfare of is not maximizing the welfare of the citizen because of misappropriation of the resources in all chapters and from all sectors, from all 10 sectors. So that is very important point that I really need to add. And the other point is that the interference of the presidency in the budget process is a negative things in budgets. The executive should not really interfere with in the stage of implementation of the budget. Sometimes you see ministers are coming into the Ministry of Finance with their claims, and members of parliament are coming in the Ministry of Finance to queue up in the office of the minister with their own claims. They want to bypass the normal process of claims and contracts. So, and most of these claims are signed from the office of president or from the ministers themselves. So, and at the end, only those ministerial claims that are paid as first priorities, and the other junior staff and other civil servants, their claims are not approved, are not given, are not paid at all. You will find people moving with checks and they don't have money, and everything has been approved in the Ministry of Finance, and somebody will be moving with a check for months in his house with no money. So every time they go to central bank, they don't get the money. Corruptions in terms of contracts. For example, the capital budget. Capital budget is 46 billion. The presidency interfered in awarding contracts to the people that are trusted by presidents. You will find those who have been given contracts in Ministry of Defense, Ministry of all these 82 spending agencies are those who are related to ministers. So if you are related to a minister or a friend of a minister, you get a contract, and you get a lion's share from the ministry budget or the spending agency budget. Yes. And all this is corruption. That's what we call
company, African, resource company, the one that constructing Juba Board roads.
Yes, they are the beneficiaries of a lot of contracts before they exchange oil for development. I told you last time, even the contract for the mortuary of Juba Hospital, was given to one of the relative of President Kiir. I know his name, but I will not expose his name. He's in the Ministry of Health. One day I disagree with him.
That's
And
medical examiner.
yeah, Mashra Musayf Juba.
Yeah. Mm.
Contract there, Adolo Wahid Garib Rais. And it's the same with the other 5 vice presidents. Tabandengai has his own contracts of Ramchiel, and he's now using the money since he joined the SPLM, and nothing is happening about Ramchiel. And all this, even James Waniga has contracts. All these 5 vice presidents and ministers have contracts that are leakages for the budget. And these contracts are awarded to their friends and their close connections. So this is where the corruption come in. The corruption comes in through claims and through contracts that are not following the standards, the good practices that are used in other national ministers of finance and other good practices of budget. That the budget should have less leakages, and the corruption should be dealt with. And then there is less transparency with the budget of South Sudan. For example, a budget must be comprehensive, must be timely, must be accurate. First of all, there is no comprehensive information about the exact quantity of oil of South Sudan. We don't know, Jonkor. They only tell us 148,000 barrels per day. That is what we are producing. But is that really true?
No.
Maybe they are producing 200,000 barrels per
day.
Maybe they are producing more than what they are telling the people. So is the information accurate or comprehensive? So that's a big problem with the South Sudan budget. There is no transparency. So, and President Kiir himself used to complain against the government of Sudan, of Bashir. President Kiir used to complain to Bashir that during interim period, the 6 years, that the government of South Sudan does not know the real quantity of oil money. They were only given 50% during interim period, but they don't know 50% of what?
Yeah, that's right.
50% of what? So President Kiir himself used to ask our judge, the Minister of Petroleum, he say, our judge, now you are giving us this amount of money as 50% for South Sudan during interim period. Is that 50% of how many barrels? And then our judge will say, Wallahi, you know, this Jalaba tactics, that that's 50%, but we don't really know how many barrels that we sold to give you 50%. So the same cheating that Bashir was doing to us during 6 years of interim period, in terms of the exact quantity of oil that is produced, is now being practiced by the SPLM elites. They are not telling the South Sudanese the exact quantity of oil that is produced in South Sudan. That's why I think the budget of South Sudan is less comprehensive and less transparent. It would be really comprehensive if you have full information about the exact quantity of oil that we are getting and selling with the well price market. Then we get the exact amount of the oil revenues. Plus, we are not getting the exact amount of non-oil revenues that come from taxation and customs. All what they give us after they have deducted, they have stolen a lot from Reng and Sudan, South Sudan borders, and from Numili, and within the airport of Juba, they are not reporting the exact non-oil revenues. whether taxation or custom money. So this make an argument against the budget of South Sudan to be strong. If you don't have comprehensive budget and accurate information in terms of resource envelope that make you to determine the total government is spending, the total government budget. So the other thing is the last point that I want to say that is part of the cons of the budget of South Sudan, that you know, they don't pass the budget on time. You know, the financial fiscal year, the fiscal year of South Sudan always start on the 1st of July and end on the June. What will happen? What has been happening over the last 10 years is that the 3rd of June will come while the new budget has not been approved. And then we come in the morning to the Minister of Finance and we find that, oh, we cannot process any more claims because the fiscal year has ended on the 3rd of June. And now people are coming on the 1st and the 2nd and the 5th of July, and there is no new budget. In the real world, that is called government shutdown. And sometimes they just run to the presidency that, oh, the budget has expired. I mean, the fiscal year budget has ended. Now the Minister of Finance is not approving any claims or any contract. So what can we do? And what they do most of the time, the president will just rush and write a presidential order so that the Minister of Finance can recycle the last year budget until we wait for the next budget to be approved. And we've been recycling the budget for many years because the budget is not always approved on time. And we'll be recycling the corrupted national ministers and officials. So everything in the government, revitalized government or the SPLM government is recycling. And so for the budget to be to meet the good practices, it has to be comprehensive, accurate, and timely approved. And that's what I can say. We cannot cover all this thing, but what I'm saying, out of 287 billions, 81.8% of that money is spent within Juba by the national government agencies. That are 82 government agencies.
And 18.2% on the state level.
Goes to our states, and that's why you find the state police, they don't have anything, and they can't deal with a lot of issues within the state. And thank you. If you want to ask me anything, then ask me.
I have the last question, but before I proceed with the last question, Moses, the elite of South Sudan, they have been eating this country. That's the word that came out of my mind. They've been eating this country for the last 16 years. Now it's 17 years. If I may ask this question, I know you're not going to have an answer, but it's a question that actually boils in everybody. Are they not full yet? Those elites, are they not full yet? just to leave a little thing, you know, الباقي البسيط ده للشعب مغلوب عليه, to build and move this country to the next level. Are they not full yet? They get what they need. It's not enough for them.
You know, Jonkor, I will just share a short story in Dinka.
Go ahead.
One of the books in Dinka when I was in Khartoum. I will not give you the real answer as you said. I will leave it for others. But I will say it in Dinka. It's good. Some stories cannot be translated. They lose their meaning.
The meaning, yes.
you see, a one and on woman. So one day go ja one well, my mama and a chukorbi be bayarom ko wamat. Ko man well yung woman de yin wamutil. Go ja one well and a korbe baya chamato. Ko man ke tegi benga ga to ko dung de rot. Kulo wantin kule le weng nok ku piat jula toro ki. Na le ke to gale man te kalo kule mok le be ku ta dung de. Kawan ku ju cham cái chi dio ku miok ku wame a cham ke na chi ku je ngulo rat cha wan loy wana chuan kwal ku le nok ku le toro ku ye jala wat be cham like what the SPLM has done. I show kwal Kenya, Nairobi, and around the world. Kwa yeke jala wat bika ba kwal juk bika ba cham juba. O the citizen are ke tabani. Na juk ben big pol wet awan ku wamen ka wan e wet ja kwen ku le tokoro ku diak gala dung ruin aloy yuai kwa dunga bel aloy bit.
That's what they're doing, Moses. That's what they're doing. You know.
So the SPLM elite ay junubin yoga dunga bel aloy bit kwa dunga ruin aloy yuai. So they want to continue, you know, Akorba dung denij bija layuai throughout, and their kids, they want to secure their future and their kids. They will never get satisfied. But we know there are a few good apples within SPLM that they have not been given opportunities, they have been marginalized. If they are given the chance, we would be talking about different outcome. The budget of the country, which is the spending plan, should be spent on the national priorities to improve the livelihood and of the citizens and to maximize the well-being of all South Sudanese so they can be rewarded. They have suffered for so long, since Anyanya 1 and since Dr. John time. They have never been compensated in terms of public goods that the government is responsible to offer the citizen. And that's what I can say. These people will never be satisfied with money. And we really need to wake up. Our people need to wake up. We need to tell President Kiir enough is enough. You must go. We don't need to lose the country because of 75 people, elites that have stolen 4 billion. And the list of that elite is with President Kiir. 75 people have stolen 4 billion, and President Kiir has never released the list. And he went and opened a bank account on 12th of January, 12th of June, 2012. He opened an account in Nairobi, in Equity Bank. That is called recovery account. And he asked the 75 elites to return the money, put them in Equity Bank in Nairobi. And none of the 75 elites has returned the money. And they are still looting more than those 4 billions. We thought that they will be satisfied with 4 billion, and now they will be honest and do the right things with the people of South Sudan, to be honest with the public money. But they cannot be trusted with public money. They cannot be trusted with the guns, because they are not controlling the guns. The gun goes to the hand of civilians. So they cannot be trusted with anything. So people must rise up and change this government through peaceful means, because Jonkor by Chibanbe, Chipot Bukorobe Nok, Kubia Kumawar, Kojoto, no. All the change that we need must be peaceful, and whether through popular uprising or through election, we must change this government. So we get a responsible government that is responsible in terms of managing public affairs, state affairs in the right way, and managing the public money in the right way, and fighting corruptions and live up to the standard of the governments around the world.
Thank you, Moses, very much. And yes, this is what we have been saying. You hear it from expert. Why we are saying the autocratic government, as Ustaz Dengi has described, and many, is not good for us. It's not good for you. You have seen it for the last 16 years. No any developmental project. The costs of the war has been turned down. The values, justice, liberty, prosperity, it's not there. Simple infrastructure are not there. Schools are not there. Hospitals are not there. You hear it from experts, how the budget had been allocated 81.8% end up in Juba. 18.2 end up in the state. And that's where we have the population of the country. But they don't care. And we said this a lot of time. They don't care. They introduce four evils so they can be on the top and benefit with, a statement that actually we liberated this country, so it's our time to eat. You see? So they are not good. They are not good for this country, and they will never be good for this country. That's why they created war to fund themselves so they can be in power and buying time forever and ever. That's why you need to wake up. As someone who is concerned, as someone who loves the country, you need to wake up and say enough is enough. Enough. We want to see our children, relatives, going to school in their homeland, enjoying the fruit of the fight for 22 years. Tell the stories of their fathers and grandfathers who fought for 22 years to bring justice, liberty, prosperity. But with Kir Mayadi, it's not going to happen. With that government in Juba, it's not going to happen. And you have seen it. Enough is enough. Thus, Moses, my last question to you is very important. In which way can South Sudan future government budget be practiced? South Sudan future government, because we know already where they are ending, how they started and where they end up, this current government. But I'm talking about the future government. Go ahead. This is my last question to you.
Well, Mr. Jonkor, thank you for that. We hope that the future government would be the government where the people elected their representative. And those representatives, for example, the MPs, will be the voice of the people in the parliament. And when the budget is brought to the parliament, they will scrutinize the budget properly. They will make sure that the budget is going to the rural areas where the majority of the people are in the states and not only spent in Juba. And if we don't have representatives that are elected by the people, then we will never benefit. We will never benefit from the public resources that are coming from oil and non-oil revenues, plus the debt that they borrow money also in our names, and they also use that money. And this is going to be a big challenge if we want change. If there is a truly election based on a well-known criteria of well-class elections, then the people should elect their representative. But so far we have handpicked MPs that are putting their own interests and the interests of the one that appointed them with the presidential decrees. So in the future, or from now, because the future, Martin Luther King said that the future belongs to those who are prepared for it today. So what we do today is going to determine a responsible government in the future. Mm-hmm. And what we need to do, let us stop supporting the corruptees in our country. That is not going to help us to have a good government in the future. Don't support a corrupted politician because they are from your tribe or from your clan or they are your uncles. They are looting and your future. They are destroying the future of your children, and we will not have a good government in the future if we continue to follow them. If we continue to follow them, they will believe that they are still good leaders. As we know now, in Juba, if you talk that the government is not effective, the government has failed, the very people that are suffering will fight you or will arrest you. And the SPLM ruling party, whether IO or SPLM in government, they have become the very thing. We have become the very things that we were fighting against. We have become the same government of Sudan that was depriving its citizens, the citizens of South Sudan, of their basic economics and political and social rights. So for us to make sure that we have a future government that is responsible, we must make a choice today. We must make a choice not to support them anymore, and make a choice to go for a peaceful means of changing this SPLM government. These SPLM elites, they have no any genetic advantage on us. The only advantage they have on the people of South Sudan is the oil money that they have looted and their guns that they have. So we have the potential as the people of South Sudan to speak up and to call for change through peaceful means. And we, the opposition, must unite. If we don't unite as the opposition today, when President Kiir is in power, if President Kiir is not in power by other means, coup or other ways, then the opposition will never unite again. And we have seen that in Sudan. Now the opposition are not united. So the best thing is for opposition is to unite before the president is kicked out. So if we unite now, we will be in a better position. Then we will fight for a better government. But if we are not united as opposition, we will be weak and we will not make a change that we are calling for. Thank you.
Moses Adwot, Maker, I really, really appreciate you, my dear brother. You know, you are a real, true patriot who care. You explain more to our people. They will understand it, and they will keep watching this video. As I said from the beginning, there is no politics without economy. Both are aligned together, economic and political. These are the thing. These are the core values. They go along together. So with that, I really, really appreciate you for coming on today and volunteer your time to come and speak and explain a simple thing to average South Sudanese, to intellectual South Sudanese as well. So thank you so much. I really, really appreciate you. Now, I want to give that opportunity to Ustaz Dengdid Ayok to come and say his word as well before we conclude this. And if there are some people who wanted to express their opinion, I may bring them also on board as well. So thank you, Moses. Welcome, Ustaz Walkadib Kabir Dengdid Ayok.
It's great to see Dengdid Ayok, and I would like just to listen to him, and or I can exit if you like.
Yeah. I can give you a rest to exit and relax. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. And
thank you. Thank you very much, Brother Jonkor Mayol. I greet you and I greet all the viewers of concerned citizens of South Sudan this evening, this morning, and this afternoon. And I would like to appreciate my brother and comrade Moses Makirkinjok for the great presentation he has made on the national budget 2021, 2022, and then 2022 to 2023. That is a superb job, and we must congratulate him for that. He has actually spoken as somebody who is an expert, somebody who is an economist. And you can see while he was speaking, he spoke without hesitation because he understands very well what he is really speaking about. He has explained the 3 phases of budget making. And now the people of South Sudan can see that every year when the government talk about the budget, it is planned in the Ministry of Finance, and then it is taken to the cabinet to be passed, and also through the parliament, and then it undergo the process of implementation. It is not implemented accordingly because there are a lot of malpractices that Moses have actually emphasized on, like the issue of the president making some presidential degrees or orders regarding the budget. In any civilized country, when the budget is made, it has to be implemented throughout the financial year without intervention from the presidency or from the prime minister. It is not allowed. So there is no system in place in South Sudan. Plus, those numerous companies we have in South Sudan, the companies that are not real. I remember in some years back, some people were calling those companies as briefcase companies because they have no locations. They have no venues. They don't employ people. They just carry those papers in their briefcases, and then they go to the Ministry of Finance, and they are given contracts, or they are given what we call credit license without any clear program. And this is how our resources have been looted since 2005 until now, for a complete period of 17 years. So the show of today is a great eye-opener. Moses have spoken in details, and he has provided all the evidence that is needed, because what he was saying was from the documents that are with him. So this is an eye-opener. The show for today is an eye-opener, and the people of South Sudan have actually seen now how they have been mistreated all along until today. 3 things are very clear. I will make my contribution very short so that I can allow others to come and also make have their say. 3 things. Number 1, this show has revealed to the people of South Sudan that the current government in Juba has no proper plan for economic growth in the country. And any country without a plan for economic growth is a country that lacks vision, because we are in the 21st century. And countries are evaluated today based on their economic prosperity or economic growth.
Correct.
And that's why our economy has melted down. And with the meltdown of the economy, you automatically go to number 2. There is no employment because there are no clear policies for developing the economy, for growing the economy. And therefore, you cannot have job opportunities for the young people, for a number of graduates from different universities that are roaming around in the city of Juba without jobs. It is the government that has to plan for them. It is the government that has to provide job for them. We understand that there are 2 sectors. You see, there is what we call public sector, and there is private sector. But the fact that there is private sector, the government is still obliged to create job opportunities for the people. Because when the government have clear economic policies and the government is working to provide job for the people, it reflects that this government really care about the people. But what we have seen today is that the government has no plan for development of the economy, and there is no policy for providing jobs for the people. That's why we don't even have one factory in the country. That's why we don't have agricultural schemes in the country to develop the country so that jobs, opportunities are provided for the young people. And when we come to say here that Salva Kiir must go, we are not just saying it that he must go because we want him to go or because we have something personal with him. It is because he has no vision for the country. It is because his government is a government that is just looting, because it has been clear right from the beginning of show that what they are doing is only looting the resources of the people of South Sudan. So they have to go. The people of South Sudan are tired. We have seen how central bank is the root cause of all these evils. Why civil servants, members of diplomatic corps, members of
armed forces,
members of organized forces, and the people in the state don't get their salaries on time. It is because of the central bank. Central bank does not implement the budget as it is planned. So it is the central bank plus J1. I remember that in some years back, a Tanyuek was heard on the media saying that they used to open central bank at night so that they can give out money. That one was a clear evidence that they are just looters and they are there for nothing. So, dear people of South Sudan, to conclude, this government must be sent to the dustbin of history. President Kiir and whoever is there must go. We have to force them to let them go because they are against your future and they are against the future of your children, and they are not there for us. So today we have very logical reasons why we always say that this government has to go. فيا جماعة الناس اللي بسمعونا من خلال هذا الشو، الحكومة الموجودة عندنا اتضح لنا إن الحكومة بتاعت نهب، ده حكومة بتاعت الحنباتة، ده حكومة بتاعت اللصوص، ده حكومة بتاعت أوليغارشيا، ده حكومة بتاعت الهاشية بتاعت السلطان والجماعة بتاعته. دي حكومة أصلا ما شغالة من أجل الشعب. والمراحل الثلاثة بتاعت إعداد الموازنة العامة أو الميزانية العامة بتاعت الدولة اللي عرضوا لنا الأخ موسس أثبت لنا تماما إن الحكومة في جوبا حكومة ما عندها خطط للناس. أولا ما عندها خطط لتطوير الاقتصاد ولتحقيق حلم النمو الاقتصادي في البلاد. وإذا ما تحقق الحلم بتاع النمو بتاع الاقتصاد في البلد كده الفرص بتاع الوظائف بيتم خلقها. الحكومة ما عندها ده. نمرة 3 التنفيذ بتاع البادجت ذاته، التنفيذ بتاع الميزانية بيجي يدخل فوق قرارات رئاسية وبيجي يدخل فوق عمليات بتاع الفساد زي الناس اللي بدهم العقود في وزارة المالية، أو الرئيس يطلع قرار فيما يتعلق بعقودات لأنه الناس قالوا له يا أخي الوزارة بقى تاني ما بدينا قروش. ده العشوائية الموجودة في حكومة بتاع جوبا. ولذلك نحن لما نقول هنا إنه الحكومة دي لازم تمشي، نحن ما بنقوله لأنه نحن عندنا مشكلة تجاه الرئيس الفقير أو أي زول موجود في الحكومة. نحن بنقول الكلام ده لأنه الحكومة في جوبا أثبت تماما إنها هي حكومة فاشلة وأنها ما بتقدر تقدم البلد الأمام شبر. لذلك رحيل الحكومة أمر حتمي، أمر يعني ضروري جدا إن الحكومة دي لازم تمشي، لازم تمشي. إذن اللي بيمشي الحكومة ده منو؟ ده أنت وأنا، دي مسؤولياتنا من الآن. وعجبني جدا التعليقات بتاع الناس اللي كانوا بيكتبوا تحت وكانوا بيقول إنه إذا كان ده أو طريقة اللي بيقضوا بيه السنة المالية كويس أو الموازنة العامة بتاع الدولة، إذا ما في فايدة لوجود الرئيس الفقير. كده الناس عيونهم فتح ويرفوا الحقائق الليلة كويس. فده الإضافة نحن بنضيفه، بنقول للشعب بتاع جنوب السودان معا لإسقاط هذه الحكومة، معا لطرد الفاسدين، معا لطرد النهابين، كلنا سوا عشان ما نطرد الناس اللي فشلوا البلد بتاعتنا والناس اللي ما عندهم حلم في حين انه الدول بتاعت العالم الليله يعني بيقاس السلامه بتاعتهم والتقدم بتاعتهم بالاقتصاد حقهم. كويس. فنحن عايزين حكومه جديده يضع جمهوريه السودان الجنوبي على الخارطه بتاعت الدول المتقدمه اقتصاديا. وبلدنا دي بلد غني جدا، عندنا جميع الموارد، لكن بس ما عندنا العقول المفترض تطورها. انتوا شفتوا الرئيس يعني قبل كم يوم مشى للامارات العربيه المتحده وكان بيدعو للمستثمرين الاماراتيين انه هم يجوا يستثمروا في البلد. لكن نحن كنا ناقشنا انه يستثمروا في شنو؟ الارضيه اللي بتخليهم يستثمروا ذاته ما في، لانه ما في سكيورتي يا جماعه في البلد، ما في ستابيليتي في البلد. كويس. قبل يومين انا قريت في الاخبار انه هو قدم دعوه للمستثمرين الاماراتيين يجي يستثمروا ووعد بانه هيحسن السكيورتي. معناه هم سامعين كلامنا ده. شفتوا كيف؟ لكن فرصتهم فاتت. الفرصه عشان يحسنوا السكيورتي كان من 2007، كان من 2006، كان من 2008 و9، لكن نحن الان في 2021 وما فيش اي تحسين للاوضاع الامنيه. الاقتصاد منهار، الخطط بتاع الدوله ما ماشي زي الناس. ونحن بنتكلم كلامنا هسه الناس جعانين في جوبا، الناس جعانه في الولايات. وعشان الناس ما تسال السلري شنو، الحكومه مشغوله بتصادم في المواطنين عشان يتشاكلوا.
نعم.
عشان تاني ما بزول يفتح خشمه انه شنو السلري وين، لانه حيفكر ينوم وين، هو طرده من مكانه يفكر انه يمشي لوين. دي السياسه الماشيه هسه. So dear viewers, it is very clear today that whenever the government sit down to tell the people that they are making a budget, it is just a drama. And it is in fact a very big scam. And this has been very clear today. Thank you very much, Comrade Moses. Thank you, Jonkor. Thank you, dear viewers, for supporting the show. I will stop here so that the chance can be given to those others who would like to speak. I saw Abu Leila earlier and many others down there making their comment that they would like to make their contribution. Thank you, Jonkor.
So phenomenal, Ustaz. والكاتب الكبير دنجر أيوك. Thank you for coming on and adding your perspective. We really appreciate it. شكرا. أشكر كل الشكر. With that, I think if there is anyone here who wanted to come and add their perspective, you're highly welcome. I can keep still a little bit of time for you to add your perspective. Before we conclude, we have very good 2 hours, conducted this economic budget in South Sudan today. I hope, نال إجابكم بخير وانتم سمعتوا South Sudan fiscal year 2021-2022 and 2022-2023. ده الموازنة القومية لسنة 2021-2022-2023 بالسودان الجنوبي. الايجابيات والسلبيات انتم سمعتوا استاذ موسس مكير قال الكثير وقال الكفايه، ودم الاهداف اللي بخلينا نقول زي ما قالوا دنجي دائما ان الحكومه دي غير مسؤوله، ونحن عرفناها حكومه خلقت الحروب وخلقت مشاكل communal violence عشان الشعب تكون منشغل بحروبات ونيرات في مع بعضها عشان ينفردوا بالسلطه وعشان يحكموا and then they can buy time and remain in power until الى ما لا نهايه. We don't know when. So with that, لازم نتيقن، شعبي يتيقن. انتوا سمعتوا المعلومات، الكلام اللي احنا بنقوله كل وقت اللي بيقال هنا ما في زول just بيتكلم because for sake of talking. We are talking because we love the country and we care and we are the son and the daughter of the Republic of South Sudan. That's why we care. That's why we are concerned. And if you are really concerned like we do, and then you can add your voice to our voice, and then together we can remove الطاغية and we can remove this corrupted regime بقيادة Salva Kiir Mayardit. Until then, we'll meet you again next week. Inshallah, it looked like I don't see anyone here wanted to come and add their perspective. We got in more, and I hope you can share this live broadcast to those who did not attend, who did not watch, so they'll be able to watch and see the difference and what we are saying. Okay, thank you and have a lovely night.
Say it shorter, Africa, say it louder. Say it shorter. Salam alaikum, assalamu alaikum, salam alaikum, assalamu alaikum, salam alaikum, assalamu alaikum, salam alaikum. Assalamu alaikum.
We stand, we fight, we fall. All we need is freedom. All we need is freedom. Free Africans, free.
Free from slavery, free